Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Imperial Diecast. We have just crossed the 700 subscriber mark, and I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of this channel. It wouldn't have been possible without you. And what better way to celebrate 700 subscribers than with the LP 700-4, the Lamborghini Aventador. I don't think I really need to give you a big introduction to this car, because this is the current V12 flagship of Lamborghini, the dream car of tens of millions of boys all over the world, the Aventador. And if you're a fan of the Transformers movies, you'll probably know that Lockdown, the main antagonist of the fourth movie, Age of Extinction, transforms into an Aventador as well. So this is a world-famous car, and this model here represents the original LP 700-4, which was first unveiled in Sant'Agata Bolognese all the way back in September 2010 as the official successor to the Murcielago. And let's be honest, those were some big shoes to fill. And of course the Aventador has been through many variants by now, chiefly the facelift in 2016 called the Aventador S. But then there was also the 700-4 Roadster, the 740-4 Roadster, the 750-4 SV, and the 770-4 SVJ Coupe and Roadster. But back in 2011, you have to keep in mind the LaFerrari wasn't launched until 2013, so for 2 years, when it comes to mid-engine flagship V12s, the Aventador was basically up against the Enzo. And let's just say things weren't looking good for the Enzo. Of course, the F12 Berlinetta was launched a year later in 2012 and gave the Aventador a run for its money, but still. All in all, over 8,000 Aventadors have been made by the end of 2018. We're probably going to hit the 9,000 mark by 2020, and that makes me think this is one of the best-selling naturally aspirated supercars of all time, considering the US price back when this was launched was close to $400,000. Now the color of this car is actually a metallic yellow, which is known as Giallo Orion in Lamborghini's color palette. And in 1/24 scale, this model is also made by Burago, often sold as Maisto. It's also made by New Ray, but the Welly really is the most detailed 1/24 version. The 1/18 scale version of this by Welly is ridiculously hard to find in yellow. The matte black and red still retail for anywhere between 45 and 55 euros, but the white, magenta, and pink have all appreciated to something like 65 euros in price. But in 1/24, the yellow can still be found easily. And apart from that, in this scale it is also available in red. And the cool thing about Welly is that they put the same level of detail in their 1/24s as they do in their 1/18s. So without any further ado, let's begin the review by taking a look at the front of this legendary vehicle. Both the Lamborghini Reventon and the stock four-door sedan concept actually ended up inspiring the design of the Aventador. And the coolest thing about the front of this Aventador are, of course, the Y-shaped DRLs in the headlights. And this is something that only Welly has managed to make properly in this scale. The Burago version, for example, puts more emphasis on the main bulb than it does on these Y-shaped DRLs. And this is actually also a problem for the 1/18 scale version of Burago's Aventador. So if you're a 1/18 scale collector, make sure to get the 1/18 by Welly instead of Burago, because that's where you'll get these beautiful headlights done right. Even in 1/24 scale, you'll see that there are no pegs on the headlights. That's great. Although the right headlight isn't painted, like the bulb isn't painted as well as the one on the left, but this is a small bit of detail that I only noticed now, and I've got this car since like December or November 2015, and I got this car for like 20 euros. So, I mean, from the top, it really does not, it isn't noticeable. And that's the important part. In the middle, we have the Lamborghini badge, done very nicely. You can see the golden Raging Bull and the Lamborghini lettering on top of it. And further down, you can see the air intakes of this car. And of course, it's not going to be perforated on this 124 scale model, but you'll still get a grille mesh pattern here. Now, one good thing about the Burago version is that the back opens, as in the rear engine cover. On the Welly version, however, apart from the doors, the only thing that opens is instead this front trunk, or frunk, which in my opinion was quite unnecessary. Like, if I had to choose between the front trunk opening or the engine cover opening, I'd obviously go with the engine cover. But still, it's just like on Welly's Gallardo, they decided to go with the front instead of the back. The shut lines on this Aventador are so good that it's actually really hard to open the frunk, but I did manage to do it, and you can see that it goes about this far up. And inside, there's not a whole lot to see. I mean, it's just a trunk. It doesn't have any carpeting or anything like that. But it's still decent detail for a 124, and I guess they could have like put some labels here, or whatever this part is supposed to represent. But other than that, still got a few details here and there, so not bad. And here's a look at the Aventador's sleek side profile. The car is actually 90 kilograms lighter than the Murcielago. This is an all-wheel drive car. And just like on the Murcielago, the Aventador has these flaps on the side which would open at high speeds for better cooling of the engine. Over here you can see that it says LP700-4. So even though this is a 124 scale car, Welly has made sure to put this small level of detail here as well. And then of course we have these air vents over here and over here, although this one is not painted black as it should be. But what I like about this car are the black wheels, because they accentuate the interior of the car very nicely, and also the bright color as well. Taking a look at the wheels, you can see that we have the Lamborghini branding on the hubcaps, and they're surrounded by 5 lug nuts. And what's also nice is that the brake discs move through the calipers, and the calipers are black and have the Lamborghini branding on them, which is very nice. And behind the front wheels there is also another small air vent, adding to the realism of this car. And what I also like about this car is that these mirrors here are hexagonally shaped, just like on the real Aventador. And Welly has even made sure to give us semi-raised windows on the Aventador, just like on their 118 scale version, so that's really cool. Let's check out the back of the car. So here's a look at the gorgeous tail end of this vehicle, and you can see straight away that we have an Aventador license plate with the Aventador branding in the proper font as well. This little black square here represents the backup camera, and on top of that, in silver lettering, we of course have Lamborghini written. The taillights themselves are also done very nicely. There's no real peg, unless you maybe want to consider this to be the peg. But I mean, you can see that the taillights look just like the real ones. They have this 3-dimensional pattern inside and are shaded red, and it just adds to the gorgeous look of this model. And below the taillights we have the huge air vents, and again they have this hexagonal pattern on them. And here at the very bottom we have the huge exhaust, and it's actually like a big cover for 4 different exhausts, so it's actually a quad exhaust, and this is painted in matte silver, so it's not chrome. And now let's check out the engine. You can see that these two vents here are also perforated. And as I mentioned earlier, you cannot lift the rear engine cover. However, Welly still put some details onto this engine. And what you're looking at here is a 6.5-liter naturally aspirated V12 producing 690 brake horsepower at 8,250 RPM. The top speed of the Lamborghini Aventador LP700-4 is 354 km per hour, and 0 to 100 can be achieved in 2.9 seconds. The European PS horsepower unit is actually 700 instead of 690, and that's how the car got its 700-4 name, and the 4 represents the all-wheel drive. Now, unlike the Holy Trinity, which consists of the LaFerrari, the Porsche 918 Spyder, and the McLaren P1, the Aventador does not have a hybrid Karus system to give it that extra bit of juice and remains a naturally aspirated purebred. Still, a very impressive performance. And what I like most about this 1/24 scale Welly Lamborghini Aventador are these scissor doors. And they sit so flush that they're a little bit hard to open. But once you get them open, they stay up, which is really nice. And they just add to the look of the model. Let's take a look at the interior. Before we do that, let's just check out the gas cap over here. And as you can see, it has got the hexagonal shape, just like on the real car. And now check out this interior. I mean, just look at that. So to begin with, we have Lamborghini written on the dashboard. But look at that center console. I mean, wow. Welly actually put the same amount of detail into this 1/24 scale model as they did on their 118 version. It's got all the buttons. You can see the TFT monitor in the middle with the Lamborghini logo. And above it, we have 2 air vents. And right down there, you can even see the red start button. Tons of detail for a car that essentially only cost me 20 euros to get. Let's check out the driver's side. So as we move on to the driver's side, I'd just like to tell you that this car has a single clutch 7-speed semi-automatic transmission. And right over here you can see the pretty large steering wheel of this car. And it's got the Lamborghini logo right in the middle, which is great. And behind, you can even see that we have a very detailed instrument panel. And not only that, but the gauges are recessed. So it's not just a sticker, it actually has a depth to it, which is really great. And you can see these switches over here on the very left. Got another air vent on top of that. You've got paddle shifters, although they're not painted. We've got the stalks for the windshield wipers. And down there you can see 3 floor pedals, although they're not painted either. Still, this is a very nice interior, an excellent interior for a 1/24 scale car. And it comes very close, probably even surpasses the level of detail on the interior of the Lamborghini Gallardo LP560-4 by Welly. So yeah, I mean, I'm extremely impressed. And here's a look at the seats. They also have a nice level of detail. Got a little bit of a center console there. And that's about it. And here's a look at the bottom of the car. You can see that it says Welly number 24033, made in China, Lamborghini Aventador LP700-4. In terms of detail, I mean, it's a pretty flat bottom. but at the same time I think this is also how it looks on the real Aventador. You can see a little bit of detail up here, and all the riveting, and back here of course we have the blades of the rear diffuser. Guys, thank you so much for watching my review of the Lamborghini Aventador LP700-4 in 1/24 scale by Welly. And if you like this review, be sure to check out some of the other Lamborghinis that I've also reviewed on my channel. You're going to find them right here. And I'm going to see you in the next video. Take care, have a nice day, and this is Imperial Diecast, signing out.